All right, I'm going to go for this just like how I'm hoping, thinking you will go about this. You're going to get a blob of clay. I would break that piece in half to start. One half will be some of your beginning coils, the other half will be your base. Okay, the base is probably the trickiest thing that you make. So once you get that done, you can start feeling good. I would start by flattening it by pinching. All right, you don't want it too thin or it will break, but you don't want it too thick or it could explode. I really try to keep like your finger, or like maybe for y'all, pinky finger, my pinky finger, thickness of everything. It can be thinner than that, but you want it to be even. So you don't want part of it to be chunky and then the other part to be thin like that. See the difference there? Chunky, thin, chunky, thin. Okay. You want it to be evenly distributed. Okay. People always want to smack it. Your palm actually is kind of like a cup. Okay. It's going to do nothing for the clay and it's just going to make a loud, annoying noise. So if you want to flatten it with your hands this way, this part of your palm where your wrist and hand meet, this is a really strong, flat area. And you might want to stand up and put your weight on it that way. Okay? If it is not a great circle shape, you can use a tool to fix that. Either straight up a pencil can carve that off, or you can use one of these and just push hard and trim it to whatever shape that you want. All right? And keep the leftovers. The other way you can make a base, if that's hard for you to get it even, you can roll a coil. When you roll a coil, I would cheat by pinching off a piece and turning it into like a weird little sausage, hot dog, Vienna sausage looking thing, and then roll. And look, we are not DJs, so you are not wicka, 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 and the clay is just touching from here to here. Wicka, wicka, okay? The clay should touch from your fingertips to your wrist. So you are going to really roll through, okay? That's going to keep your coils even. And if you notice, my hand is moving from one side to the other as I'm rolling. If you keep your hand in one spot, it's going to get really thin wherever your hand is. So keep moving your hand. Okay, pretty good coil. You can make your base with a coil by just rolling it up like you would like a snail shell. Okay, now those sizes are obviously very different, but if you press down, you're going to make it bigger. This was just a smaller piece of clay that I used anyway. Okay, so two different types of bases. It just depends if you want this. The first way that I showed you could be harder to have nice and smooth. This, the coil way, it is definitely more smooth, but you just figure that out. It also is probably more even, but it might be harder to get it big enough. Okay, so if this is my base, I'm going to just use this, whatever. If this is my base, we're rolling coils to make this. So just like I did, pinch off a piece of clay, cheat to make it into, I probably should pick a better word than that, but you're going to make it into a little sausage thing and then roll. All right. Your coil, I didn't talk about this last time, your coil should be about the size of your finger. If you have bigger fingers, use your pinky finger, okay? If it is skinny, skinny, skinny like this, or like a spaghetti noodle, it's going to take you forever. It also is going to be really flimsy. So you want it, think about like a pencil really. They're not exactly the same, but think like a pencil width or a little bit bigger. All right, so to score and slip, and you're going to hear me say this over and over, score and slip. Score is just scratching. Slip is like clay glue. Very fancy, glue and water. Not glue and water, clay and water. And to score, I would use this tool. It makes it really easy. So you've got your base, we've got our coils, and to score, it's kind of like making hatch marks. So some of your teachers in the past, or if you've gone to a clay studio or something, will sometimes just say make X's. That's totally fine, but this is easy, so you can start by dragging one way and then kind of drag the other way. What's happening is you're going to put the slip on, the coil on, and then the clay is actually going to join together with those hatch marks, with those X's. So you can see how I've scratched it there, all right? I'm not scratching the middle because the coil is just going around the outside. So with either your paintbrush or your finger, you are going to add the slip on. Remember, the slip is like the glue. This is not going to work without this, trust me. You're then going to lay the coil down. And you want to go carefully with this. You can, so if you've got, let me refocus. If you've got extra coil here, two things, you can either pinch it off and leave it and use this for another side, or you could keep it attached and keep building up by scoring and slipping that on there. I didn't go quite far enough. That does make it uneven, but you can always fix that by making a little half coil and connecting it that way. So now it's even. Obviously I didn't score and slip this. Okay, the reason for scoring and slipping is because straight up, if you just stick it on there, when it starts to dry, this is going to roll off, okay? This is not going to roll off. Look, even the part that I stuck, it sticks better than the part that I didn't score and slip. As it dries, the clay is going to separate, and we need to join it into one piece with the scoring and the slipping. Join it. Okay, so you want to do a couple layers of these regular coils, but after you do a couple layers, meaning like base, layer, really probably only 2 layers, you can start getting a little fancier with your coils if you want. So roll your coils. And maybe you want a zigzag pattern like this. All right, you could score, slip, and attach that so that you've got a little bit more of an interesting pattern. And you could do that all the way around. You could also make it just like how I've made the base and make a spiral, score, and slip that on. Okay, so this is totally up to you. You could make little bridges kind of with it or whatever. But you'll notice here, do you see it starting to crack? If that happens, it's just because clay starts drying immediately. That's totally normal. That is totally fine. The way to fix that is to get a little slip on your finger or even paint a little bit on, and then you really just kind of want to almost like pet the clay. Kind of rub it and it will be fine. If it starts cracking too much, you've just overused the clay. So raise your hand, I'll come around with the spritz bottle and spray it or give you some more clay, but you're also probably going to get a little lecture on how you need to commit to whatever you're working on, because if you redo the clay over and over and over and over and over, it's going to get dry. It's going to get harder to work with. It's going to be annoying for all of us. So take your time, go slow. Know that you can fix everything. If you don't like the shape of something, you can always fix it. If you don't like how the coils look, you can always carefully smooth them out. All right, this is totally up to you, how big or small or what kind of shape your coil pot is.